All right, now let's talk about something that casual fans don't always realize. The elves in The Lord of the Rings aren't just beautiful, wise, or immortal. They're ancient demigods walking Middle Earth, and what makes them truly powerful isn't just their combat skills or their magic, it's what they represent. So, in this episode of LoreVerse, we're breaking down why the elves are so powerful, what separates them from men, dwarves, and even wizards, and how their story is actually the key to understanding the entire world Tolkien built. Now, first off, we need to understand where they come from. Now, the elves were the first children of Iluvatar, right? The first beings to awaken in Middle Earth before anyone else. They didn't evolve, they just appear randomly, and they were crafted by the creator himself. And that's already a huge deal. Their souls, right, are literally bound to the world itself. So when elves die, they don't go to some other realm. Their spirits return to the halls of Mandos in Valinor, meaning they never truly leave. Now, that connection gives them a power that mortals simply can't comprehend. They're as close to divine as you can get without actually being one of the Valar. Now, here's where this gets deep. Many of the elves we see in The Lord of the Rings, Galadriel, Elrond, or Glorfindel, they're not just random forest people. They're survivors of Valinor, the Undying Lands. They've literally seen the light of the two trees, the holy light that existed before the sun and the moon, and that light flows through them. And that's why Galadriel shines with that almost divine glow and why her presence feels otherworldly. And the elves carry that light wherever they go, like it's a piece of paradise walking through a fallen world. So when Sauron forged the One Ring, he wasn't just threatening Middle Earth, he was threatening the very legacy of that light. Now, here's something people underestimate though. The elves don't just live long, but they experience time differently. When you live for thousands of years, your patience becomes a weapon. You see entire kingdoms rise and fall, and you learn to play the long game. That's why Elrond and Galadriel always seem calm, because they've seen this before. They know that power rises, power falls, and that wisdom outlasts strength. And that's part of what makes them dangerous. They don't rush, they wait. Because in Tolkien's world, time isn't a curse for the elves, it's a tool. And unlike wizards, the elves don't cast spells. Their power isn't something they use, it's something they are. So when the Lorien feels like a dream, that's not magic. That's not magic in the Harry Potter sense. That's the elves bending the world around their nature. They bring harmony where there's chaos. They amplify beauty, preserve memory, and resist decay. Even their weapons, like Legolas's bow or the elven blades forged in Gondolin, right, are more than craftsmanships. They're extensions of their essence. And Tolkien described elven magic as a kind of elevated art, a creation that mirrors the divine. And that's power rooted in purpose, not domination. But here's the paradox: the elves' greatest strength also became their greatest tragedy. They are bound to Middle Earth, but they long for Valinor. They remember what perfection felt like, and that memory hurts. That's why so many of them fade and why they retreat into forests and hidden realms. They can't stand watching the world fall apart. Yet, even in their sorrow, their strength. The elves preserve what the world forgets. They are the memory of Middle Earth. That's why their songs and stories carry so much weight, because they've lived it all. By the time The Lord of the Rings happens, the age of the elves is ending. But Tolkien makes it clear their fading isn't a defeat, it's a passing of the torch. Their power kept the darkness at bay for millennia. Their wisdom guided the rise of men. Their sacrifices made the world safe enough for mortals to inherit it. In short, they were never meant to rule forever. They were meant to set the stage. So when you see Legolas standing beside Gimli or Galadriel giving Frodo the light of Arendelle, you're not just watching cool fantasy moments. You're watching the last embers of a divine age flickering in the shadow of a mortal world. The elves are powerful not because of magic or might, but because they embody the best of what Middle Earth once was. They are the guardians of memory, beauty, and grace in a world that's slowly forgetting all three. And that's what makes them powerful. That's what makes them legendary. So this is the LoreVerse, and that's why the elves will always be the heart of Tolkien's world and why they are so powerful. Hope you guys have a great day. Stay crispy and peace out.